Hi friends, it's Kayla Moran and welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I can't believe we are already at the end of March. Happy Ultra, happy Miami Music Week, happy Miami Open. What other events? There's a lot of events going on right now in Miami. Spring is the season of events around here and I am loving it. I really am enjoying having a social life again and having and making plans, and I may not always get to go to them and I might have to cancel here and there because of work, or I'm just exhausted and my body needs rest, or my skin needs a break and I can't put more makeup on and I just need a night in. But just the option and the opportunity to have so many plans is so much fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. And I got invited to I got invited to 4 different events this week. I'm going to 2, possibly 3. And I have a couple other ones that I've been invited to that are like lawyer events or like panels that I could attend. I just am not able to, either financially or because of work and like having events, or not events, but hearings and things during the day, that I'm not able to take off to attend panels and things like that. That's the one thing I've noticed that being a law student was good for, is that we could attend all the free lawyer panels and events and conferences and talks and things like that. And as an attorney, yeah, the law schools still put them on and you can still go, but you have to pay. And I just did not plan for that in going off on my own, but now I know to keep a budget for CLE's, continuing legal education events, that I want to attend as an attorney, hosted by Law and FIU Law, the 2 local law schools to me, because I have a lot of friends that go to either of those schools and there's always stuff I want to go to. I just either can't go because of time or because I can't afford it, and I don't want that to be the excuse, or not the excuse, the reason. But I am excited. Tomorrow I'm going to a Miami Music Week event at the beach, and it's a wellness event, and I'm really looking forward to a yoga class, some smoothies, some lunch, acupuncture, like a couple little treatments here and there. And then I have a facial tomorrow evening because my skin has been going through it with the stress and overwhelmingness of work and a lot of makeup because of a lot of events. And my skin definitely needs a facial. I've been needing one for quite a while, and I've been doing like at-home facials with the Dr. Dennis Gross Alpha Beta Peel Pads. Love those. They sent me some in PR and I am obsessed. Thank you, Dr. Dennis Gross. I actually have one of my friends who works at Dr. Dennis Gross Influencer Marketing coming on the pod soon. So if you like them, stay tuned for that. But yeah, I've been giving myself at-home mini facials, but I definitely need a professional deep cleaning. So very much looking forward to that tomorrow after a workout in the morning. And then what else is going on? I might go to another event on the beach. I might be going out this weekend. Who knows? Like that kind of has been just coming up like here and there, like last minute. I'm like, my friends are like, hey, we're going out. You want to come? Sure, why not? If I'm feeling up for it, I just throw on a jeans and a crop top, put on some mascara and concealer and call it a day. So that's been a lot of fun. And what else? I have an event on Sunday with a really cool brand that is for the Miami Open. And then the following week, I'm going to the Miami Open with my parents. And I have a friend who works for a company that is sponsoring the Miami Open. So hopefully I'll get to run into him while I'm there. And it's just really cool to be involved and out and about and seeing people at all these events and networking, because I have friends in all of these different things, and that's how I get invited to these opportunities, and it's really cool. So don't miss out on your network. Don't sleep on them. You never really know. And that's something I've learned a lot too, is that I have a lot of friends who are looking for different jobs or leaving their jobs or considering leaving their jobs and are in the process of looking for stuff. And I'm like, oh, hey, what do you want to do? I might know someone. And sure enough, I hop on my LinkedIn network and I know a couple people that I can connect them with. And that has been really rewarding, just being able to be there for my friends and be a support system and a giver has been really nice, and just reaffirmed that that's something that I am meant to do. Although on the downside of that, I realize that sometimes I do it because I want to feel like I'm good enough and I am worthy, and I hope that they would reciprocate. And I don't do it with the like with them needing to reciprocate, like I'll do it if you do this for me. Like it's not that, but sometimes I'm like, I wish they would. And that's a personal thing. It's something that I need to work on a little bit more, because I generally do enjoy giving so much of myself and being there for everybody. And it sucks when, not everyone is always there for me, but that's just the name of the game. But I do need to protect my peace and be more mindful of who I give my time and energy and effort to, because not everyone is going to be as receptive or kind about it. And, then they expect things from you, and that's not cool. That's not healthy either. And what else has been happening? Oh my God, yesterday I literally almost had I almost had a heart attack. I thought that one of my law school best friends blocked me on Instagram out of the blue, and that we were no longer friends and he was breaking up with me, and I full on panicked and my heart bottomed out, and I sent him a really nice text message, and I was like, I don't know what happened between us. I thought we were always going to be friends. I know we don't talk anymore because we don't live in the same place, but I love you and I miss you. And then I find out that he can't remember his password. So his account got suspended and he can't, it deleted it. And it's not that he blocked me. So then I felt ridiculous. So then I texted him, I'm sorry that I'm crazy, but you love me anyway. See you when you're in town. And he was completely just disregarded the entire first text and was like, sorry, I suck at responding to you guys, but nope, still here. My account sucks. It's gone, but love you and miss you too. Happy to hear you're doing well. And I was like, I love that you just completely ignore the fact that I went ballistic on you, because I thought you blocked me. But it's all good. And now it's funny. Yesterday was not funny. Yesterday, I literally, my heart hurt all day. So I just needed to collect myself there for a second and let the dog out if you heard him scratching in the background. But that was a fun moment. So I thought I would do my suck and sweet of the week, and then we can dive right into this week's guest. My suck of the week is that the weather has not been that great, and I'm really sad. Give me the sunshine back. I want my sunshine back. But the cold fronts have been a little nice little walk after work. And my sweet of the week is that, like I said, it just feels really good to be making lots of friends, new friends, and being introduced to new opportunities and having a social life again. That's something that I really missed the last few years, and I was having quite a fun social life in the fall. But then work picked up for everyone, and that kind of slowed down quite a bit the last few months. And then I went on vacation, the holidays, and now I finally feel like I'm coming out of my social rut, my bubble and my shell, and I'm just excited and energized to be social. And of course, there's a lot of events spring and summer here, so it's honestly perfect timing. And so I hope you guys are all doing well. And if you guys want to hear any topics or any guests or want to learn more about something and you think that it would be a good fit for the podcast, please let me know in a comment, in a review, in a DM, in an email. I want to make this podcast for you guys. I do it because I love sharing my life and I love sharing the really cool conversations I get to have all the time. And I want to make sure it's what you guys want to hear. And I have some really cool ones coming up. And it means so much to me when people reach out to me to want to be on the podcast, or when I've inspired people to start their own podcast and then they have me on theirs and I get to help promote their podcast on this show. So it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun right now, and both of my businesses are going well. They're growing. Slow and steady wins the race. And I'm making big girl moves for my clients, for myself, and things are really good. Grinding away, but it'll be really fun, and I have a really good feeling about spring and summer, and I can't wait to continue to share with you guys. And let's get into this week's guest. He is one of my friends from high school, and actually when we recorded, we had not actually spoken, I think, since high school, which we graduated high school about 8 years ago. So that is wild, almost 8 years. And we've been in touch on Facebook, on Instagram. seeing what each other's up to, happy birthdays and congratulations types of things. But we haven't really sat down and spoken since high school. So it was really cool to have Jonathan Vega on my podcast. And he is a real estate agent here in Miami, and he has a fun, unique approach to buying and selling homes. And he does it on social media. He creates videos featuring the properties that he is selling or has sold or is in helps developing all over the city of Miami on YouTube and on Instagram. And it's really fun. It's light, it's upbeat, and it's really cool to see fellow classmates and friends of mine going into their industries and shaking it up and making a name for themselves, because that is exactly what I'm doing in my industry. And I love when my friends are my kindred spirits. And we actually have a lot in common. His girlfriend's mom used to be one of my ballet teachers when I was younger. I grew up with her briefly, but I didn't know that, I don't think they even knew each other at the time. And it's just funny how life works out. And Miami is such a small town in a big city. And it's like 6 degrees of separation. Everyone knows everyone. You never know who you're going to meet or run into. And I love that. It has its downsides, but it's also a lot of fun, because then you just connect. You're like, oh my God, I know that person too. And it was really cool to reconnect with someone who is doing something super cool. And if you've ever wanted to get into real estate, here's another episode with a fellow young realtor on the show. I had Gio Ingleto of RGI Realty on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. So I'll link it below. Go check her out, but go follow Jonathan. Check out his Jonathan Vega group. He works at Sotheby's International Realty, which is a massive company if you are in real estate. And I think it's really cool what he's doing, and I'm so excited to introduce you to him. And if you guys are ever interested in buying and selling a home in Miami or in South Florida, he's your guy. And yeah, I hope you guys like this episode. If you do, please leave a rating and review. Please subscribe to the show, follow along, share with a friend, tag us as you're listening. Go check out Jonathan, and I hope you guys enjoy. I will talk to you guys next week. Meet Jonathan. Jonathan, what's something people wouldn't know about you just from following you?
That's a good question. I'd say they wouldn't know how simple and humble that I live my life. I try not to care about like the material things, and I don't really care. I'm not flashy. I don't need like a Rolex, or like I don't need to flex on people to like, make them think that I'm doing something, right? Like that's never been me or who I am, and I don't think that people's material things define who they are. So people see like on Instagram, I have the same belt. I wear that one Ferragamo belt that was gifted to me. Yeah, I got a nice car, but it's just because I've always loved cars. So the car thing is like an exception. But like I live very humbly. I don't live like in a mansion or anything like that. I just live in a 1 bedroom, 1 bath condo that I bought myself. And it makes me have peace of mind and peace of life, like not even have to even worry about like any of that, and still being able to do other things like investments and investing in my business as well. So I think people probably wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. And I like that that's also just because we've known each other for so long. So for reference, we went to high school together, and we've seen each other grow up and build this life for ourselves. And yeah, like I love that, seeing my friends that, because I know that they're humble, like they're not like, Instagram is a highlight reel, and it's really cool to be able to show off like the fun stuff and the cool stuff and like things that we've worked for, and go to nice dinners and have these amazing trips. But at the end of the day, knowing like that it's just, that's the cherry on top. Like it's the more important, the work that went in to get there. So I like that. Yeah. That, you go on your Instagram and you're selling very expensive properties, but at the end of the day, like it's not selling sunset for you. Like that's just a job, but because you love it, but like you live a very humble life. So that's a good one.
Yeah, I think people get caught up in the material stuff sometimes too. So, everybody's like always trying to flex or something, but I don't think there's need to flex. Flex in the work that you do, not in the material things.
Agreed. And like, hey, if you like the material things, then by all means get them for yourself if you can afford it. But I don't think you should be like aspiring to have that if there's other things that you could be investing in right now, because eventually you will get there. And that's something that I have to remind myself.
That's I think we all like material things that you can say, right? But I think it's more like, when is the appropriate time, right? Not like, you're still living, whatever, somebody's living at home and then they want to buy like this expensive ass watch or whatever. Excuse my language if I'm not allowed to curse.
You're good. You can curse.
But it's just, there's a right time and a right place for everything, right? So like the money that I spend right now is so strategically spent on my business or my investments or my future that I don't want to spend the money, like crazy money, on things that aren't really going to give me money back. Right? Like if what I spend my money is not going to make me money, then I really don't have the urge to buy it.
Agreed. No, I'm 100% the same way.
Yeah.
So how
But
did you
maybe
get
when I'm like a billionaire eventually, maybe then I'll just spend more. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
same. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If it doesn't, yeah, I think that's the great point. Like, if it's not gonna like make you happy, make you money, or I forget what the other one is right now. I'll send you the TikTok sound that I'm thinking of after this. Then yeah, it's not worth it right now.
of
Like
course,
it's just it's not. But if I get to the point where it's additional disposable income, passive income that isn't going to make or break me, then that's when I'll go ahead and spend it however the hell I want because I earned it
exactly,
and I worked
exactly,
for it. So,
exactly.
how did you get into real estate to begin with? Like, talk a little bit about, like, end of high school. Did you go to college? If you did, what did you study? Like, how did you kind of get into where you are now?
So I did, as you know, we went to high school together. I went to Coral Reef. I was in the legal academy, and while I was in
Wait, you
Coral
were?
Reef,
That's so funny that I'm
yeah,
the one that
yeah,
went to law school, but I was not in the legal
yeah.
academy.
I didn't end up doing anything with legal whatsoever, but it was a cool academy. Like
Yeah.
I really loved my teachers there, like Miss Cushney, best teacher ever. I go and I visit her all the time. But my last 2 years of high school, I was tutoring kids. I got my mom. My grandpa gave me his car. It was like a hand me down. My mom told me I had to work to start paying for gas, and like outings, and she wasn't going to pay for it. So she referred me to somebody who wanted like a tutor, like homework helper for their kids. So I said, all right. So I made $20 an hour. I was doing that for 2 years, picking them up from school, taking them home, helping them with homework, and then when I was graduating high school, I was actually going to go to UCF, but I ended up canceling that, staying and going to FIU because FIU was giving me a full ride. And then, basically one of the parents that I was working with, like tutoring their kids, she worked here in the office in Sotheby's. She's like, hey, come work with me. I'll pay for your license. I'll teach you everything, and you'll just be like my assistant. And I was like, all right, like I have nothing to lose. Let me just try it, see what it comes about. I didn't know anything about real estate. So graduated high school, and then like 2 weeks later after graduation, I called her up. I said, "Hey, look, I'd love to take it on." And she's like, "All right, go to my office tomorrow." And then I'm coming here to this exact office, and then fast forward, 8 years later, now I'm still here. So,
That's
but
cool.
so
I didn't know that. I know you
yeah,
were gonna go to UCF and then didn't end up going. And I knew you ended up going to FIU, but I didn't know the real estate thing started right after high school. I thought it
right
came
after,
later.
yeah. So I was an assistant for 3 years as a right hand. So I was in FIU. I went to FIU full time, and I did graduate from FIU. So I did school and work full time, and as an assistant for 3 years. And then after 3 years, which was like into my senior year, finishing senior year, is when I went and I started working on a team in the company for like another year. And then after that, once kind of like around the time I graduated college, I started my own thing. And ever since then, I've been like, on my own. But, when I first started, you know, the person that I worked with, only wanted me to work so many hours. So I told him, hey, look, just pay me a fixed amount, which was a very, very, very small amount. And, I'll work for free. I don't really care. I just want to work. So I did that for 3 years. Lived at home, made very little money. But I just wanted to sacrifice. I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to absorb everything. And, the moment that I felt that I could do it on my own is when I went on my own and I started doing my own thing.
Yeah, that's really valuable. I think, there's so much crap about unpaid internships in college, but I think we all got to start somewhere. And I think as much as it would be nice to be making money to be able to, especially, in college, go out with our friends and, go on spring break and things like that. I think it's more important, like your work ethic. That's something that you and I both have. And I think we've always had it. Just it didn't really manifest until we were doing things that we were actually passionate about. But, you know, like what matters is the work ethic and that you're willing to, start from the bottom and learn and, work your way up because so many people, especially now the younger generation and or because of social media, it's like, they want to be here already. And it's like you can't. You're not like you don't have the tools and the skills to be there yet. And
Yep.
unfortunately, we don't all have the connections to get there. And even if you do, like, just because you are there doesn't mean that you can handle everything that's coming your way, and you still want to be a valuable member of any team that you're on. So I think it's really smart of you, maybe shouldn't have asked for a flat rate and get paid hourly, but that, like, hindsight, but that you worked your way all the way
Yeah,
up and then realized, you know what, like I can do this. I want to do this and I'm going to go off on my
yeah,
own and I'm going to build something for myself.
yeah.
Can you
Well, look,
talk a little bit?
sorry to cut you off, but like
No, go.
I didn't care. I didn't even want it. Honestly, like she could have told me like work for free. I would have worked for free. I just wanted to learn so bad, and I understood that I had to sacrifice now for like a better tomorrow. And I knew that I wasn't able to even like facilitating a deal like that. So I just wanted to learn, and I was living at home. I wasn't paying rent. I had a car payment. I think I had like bought myself like a Camaro or something like with my savings, whatever. So my payment was like $100 a month or something like that. So like I was like that was all my expenses. So in my mind, I was just like, let me just work. She pays me. If I get paid like a couple $100, whatever, like I don't care. It's feeding me. It's allowing me to pay my car, and that's really all I need. And I learned, and because of that, because of the sacrifices and being there and like learning and side by side every day, that's how I was able to like fully grow and learn. And to your point about like when you're young, you don't have this, some people don't have the connections and stuff. Like nobody at 18 years old, none of our friends were buying houses. Nobody
No.
that I knew was buying a house, and I didn't have the connections to like. I didn't know people who lived like in big houses. I just didn't know anybody. My mom's a teacher, and I just kind of grew up like in a regular house. So I didn't have those connections. But what I did have was maybe connections with other agents in the office, and I just took advantage of that in the sense that I helped them and they helped me. And I would do open houses every single weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. I was doing open houses. I would do four every single weekend, 12 to 2, 3 to 5 on Saturday, 12 to 2, 3 to 5 on Sunday. I did that for probably like 4 years, 5 years, while everybody was out partying, like in college, they
Yeah,
were
you have to
whatever,
be
they were
willing to want
bars.
it. You have to be willing to work for it. And speaking about connections, like I'm really lucky that both my parents worked in corporate America, so I had access to the people in their companies that were doing legal, so I could get information from them or law firms that they knew people at through work that I could get internships at. But yeah, same thing. I didn't know people buying houses under like 25, other than in our parents' generation, like not our generation, and
Yeah,
you know people with huge houses or fancy cars. Like that was just not the lifestyle that we lived. Like I was literally telling my mom right now, I was like, it's hard that now I'm like in this like upper level, like higher education bracket because I'm surrounded by people that are making significantly way more than me at my age and are living these lifestyles that I literally never knew about. Like like one of my friends, she's like, yeah, I knew I wanted to be in big law since I was 10. And I was like, I didn't even know what big law was until I went to law school. Like she knew that that was the lifestyle that she wanted. So she devoted herself to that. And I'm like, by the time I got to law school and I realized like that was an option, I was like, that's not the lifestyle that I want because it's not what I was
yeah,
accustomed to. And it didn't interest me in the way that it interests other people. And for connections, like you don't need to know anybody through your family. Connections doesn't have to be through your family. It could be through friends, families. It could be through your friends.
yeah,
Like it could be who you work with. Like you never know who the person at Chipotle behind you is or who they know. Like you always want to be nice to everybody. You always want to make friends with everybody because you never know where like someone could lead you
yep,
to. And like I think it's really smart that you were like, I have access to these people in my office. Like I'm gonna go learn from them. Like, hey, can I get you coffee? Or like I'm going to the copier. Do you need anything? Like, you start building those relationships with people and they're going to be more willing to help you out. And that's something I talk a lot about on the podcast and just in my content or when I talk to pre-law students. Like, go ask people for coffee. If you are interested in what they do, especially now that everything could be on Zoom, makes it so much easier. It doesn't have to be in your city or your town or wherever you are. Like,
yeah,
just ask them what's a coffee and like ask them their trajectory, their story, how they got where they are today. Because I can assure you that they didn't even know that they were going to be where they wanted to be. 9 times out of 10, people don't. And you just kind of figure it out as you go. And that's exactly what you and I did. And I think it's super smart. How did you like, what was it like being an assistant? Like those first few years, what did you do? Like, what if someone wants to get into real estate and work their way up because, they don't have the connections or what do you do as an assistant? How do you get started?
yeah. I mean, basically just go out and ask any agent that's doing well, right? If they need a helping hand, right? Like how could you bring value to them, right? There's so many people that want to get started in real estate and they don't realize that they want to make it about them. They want to make it about, oh, like I want to make this money. I can sell deals like that. I could do this because obviously social media has had an effect on our generation like that. They can get immediate. They think it's like immediate and it happens overnight. But you have to start from the ground. Like just ask somebody who's doing something good. Ask me, hey, look, how can I help you? What could I do to benefit you? How could I bring value to you? And then you bringing value to them is automatically bringing value to you as the individual. You're learning, right?
100%.
And that learning curve is automatic because in reality, anybody starting in real estate, you start right away. You don't know the deal. You don't know how to structure a deal. There's so many things that could fall through the cracks, and then your deal's gone. You could have the client, great. Once you get the client on the contract, many things can go wrong, right? So if you don't even know how to like manage a deal, right? Then in reality, you can have all the connections in the world, but if you can't manage that deal, the deal's going to fall through and you're not getting money. So
Yeah.
you first got to understand, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So just be in somebody's presence that, you help them on the daily, and then it's just going to come back. Like that person's going to want to help you just as much as you want to help them. That's how it works. It has to be like, a little bit of give and take here as, from each end, but you can't just assume immediate success. I did it for 3 years. Most people do not stay as assistants for 3 years. I did it for 3 years full time, and that was the best thing I ever did. Honestly, I enjoyed
Yeah.
working with the person that I worked with, and I learned so much. And that like gave me a huge learning curve. That was like my master's degree in real estate.
Oh, 100%. It's funny, I talk about this a lot with my friends. Like, I was originally going to go to law school and also get my MBA, do like the 4-year JD MBA dual degree. And I was like, by the time I was like a 2L in law school, I was like, yeah, I don't need an MBA because I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to literally get a crash course myself. And it's going to be 100 times more valuable. And it has been. And yeah, I think that's super important. Like, I like that you said, like, seek to be understood or seek to understand, not to be understood first, because it's so true. Like, you don't know what you don't know. I learn every day that I know absolutely nothing about the law, yet I studied it for 3 years.
Yep.
Like, I still need to figure it out before I can go and, you know,
Yeah.
handle these cases. And it's also people management, and you need to like who you're around. And especially you work on a team, real estate's a team. Like, it's not about you. It's not about the money. It's not about, you know, like the first sales or the first sale sign turning into a sold sign, or like like the achievements. Like, there's a lot more that goes into it behind the scenes that I think we forget about now, because everything is just like, we want it now, we want this, we want that, we want to show it off. And there's nothing wrong with showing off all the good things that you have going on, but it's also like, it's so much sweeter because it's so much more rewarding when you see all the work that went into it and you're like, damn, I did that. I'm really proud of myself for it. And yeah, with the connections, like, just really like, I like that, seeking to add value first. And like, I always say, like, it's a mutual selection process, same as like sorority and fraternity, like recruitment interviews. Like, you want them to see what value you bring to the table, but you want to know what value they can bring you. And you want to
Yep.
make sure that the personality fit is there, you enjoy what you're going to be doing, because that is what you are learning subconsciously. Like, a
Yeah.
little by little, you are picking up all of that, and that is going to shape you for the next chapter. So you want to make sure that you want to learn from those people, because you're going to be learning so much more than just whatever the job is. But also, yeah, you need to make sure that, you're bringing something to value too. Like, you're not just there to sit there and like tell me what to do and like you're not just doing your job. Like, there's so much more that goes into it, and you need to make sure that you're actually learning and you enjoy what you're learning. So I love that. So what was that transition like from assistant to actually being an agent yourself? Like, I know you stayed at the same company, but I'm sure it's a very different role. It's a new like project. Like, what was that like?
Yeah.
What's the difference between, like, what were you handling as an assistant versus when you became an agent? Like, what changed?
So, like as an assistant, you handle like the day to day. I was handling the day to day, like appointments, showings, contracts. Drafting up contracts, leases, showing properties too. So I was kind of doing all those things as well. But they weren't like my properties, they weren't my clients, right? So it was kind of like, helping someone else's clients, guiding them and just, doing a lot of the work, the office work, right? The things you do behind the desk and the paperwork and all that. So that was the assistant role. And then, just going from that to an agent, it was a big transition because, then I was getting paid, so it was helping me. I knew I kind of had some sort of income coming in, like kind of like a salary kind of thing. So stopping that, that was a big jump because then I went from getting that to getting nothing, right? And then just waiting and basically killing what I eat, or no, eating what I kill. I apologize. Eating what I kill, what I eat. Eating what I kill, right? Like whatever is out there, whatever you get is what you get paid and how I eat, right? So after that, it was a different shift in mindset, chasing the deal, chasing people, meeting people, going out there. Then I started putting myself out more on social media, like posting more, doing all those things, all in an effort to get more business, right? So my mindset shift as, somebody who's on salary or whatever getting paid to a business owner on how I can attract business to my brand and to me so that I could further expand this, right? Because eventually, at that moment, I did everything. I was my accountant. I was my assistant. I was my, everything. For videographer, I edited all my video. I did everything that you could think of in a business I was doing. And then slowly over time, as things evolved and got better with business, I started delegating everything. So now I just have like a little team surrounding me, right, of people who do different things, and I don't focus on the things that I shouldn't be focusing on. I focus on things that bring in more business, that are better for the brand and for everybody else that's on the team. So over time, it's always been just a complete mind shift. I've done it very naturally. Everything has been supernatural. I don't force anything. I do it when the moment feels right. A lot of people like to rush things. I don't rush. I'm not rushing this because I'm in a long game. This is something that's more long term. I don't want immediate, I don't want my final goal to be next year because then you forget everything else in between. I want it to be a gradual growth. So, over time, I ended up bringing other people. First, I started with my videos. I had a videographer that would edit my videos because I didn't want to pay someone to record and edit. So I'd record and then send him the footage and he would edit for like $100. And then I'm like, over time, all right, started closing deals. Okay, now I'm going to just have him do filming and editing. So I got someone to film and edit all in one. And then after that, it was like, all right, we need to do it more times a week. So we did more times. And then he was doing all that. And then we learned systems on how to, make it a little bit easier. And then after that, I said, okay, I need someone behind a desk all day, every day, because I'm out and about doing stuff. And then I got an assistant. And so I started, I have a full-time assistant that does all my admin work, is like basically my backbone. And she handles everything on the back end. And then, now I have people on my team, other agents that help me with showings, other agents that help me with, little maybe deals that I can't do, or too far or too south, whatever, or too small. So, over time, it's just kind of like delegating. But the transition has been so smooth from, not trying to rush it and trying to just learn along the way on how I can improve. And in that moment, just understanding, all right, this is how much money I have. This is what I could do with that money to help me make more money. How can I just keep doing
Yeah.
that and just start expanding it? But
No,
you
and I
gotta
think
start.
it's smart too, because since you started off at the bottom and you did every single role yourself along the way, you know what to look for when you are hiring and delegating, and like, you I think, get something, everything, like from every experience, good, bad, or ugly, you learn something, whether, okay, this is good, I want to do this when I'm a boss, for example, or like, that's not how I want to be as a boss, or, if there's no systems in place when you come in, and you need systems to feel like you're able to manage it all, because sometimes it can get really disorganized and you're like, I need systems in place. You start building those. So when you build your own team, you start off with those systems and processes in place, because that's how you work better, and you find people that are going to build within that, instead of, it's just you learn from everything. And I think it helps so much too that you worked your way up and you did it all and you learned it all along the way. I'm very much the same way. Like, I for the first 9 months of my podcast, I edited them myself. And now I have an editor. And like, hey, Amanda, when you're listening to this, like, I can't do my podcast now without her because
Yeah,
it makes it so much easier for me to actually create the podcast and find the people. And I'm the one pitching to them, and or they come to me and I'm the one like getting to be engaged in the conversation, but someone is handling that for me. Or starting my own law firm, I have college interns that help me out with the admin things or the social media things so I can focus on actually helping the clients or doing the research to create the content that they're ultimately going to package and show off for me. But they're not able to create that necessarily yet, maybe eventually if they're law student interns, but I can't afford to pay a law student intern right now,
of course.
little by little I'm building those systems up. So I think it's super admirable the way you did it, and it has shaped who you are. And you know I just think it's really cool to see, like, especially you, because I know you, but also just that, learning how much work it goes into it. Because I think, especially with something like real estate, lately, everyone's just kind of like, it's all about getting the big deal and like the commission, and it's really cool, but they don't appreciate all the hard work that goes into it. And that, yeah, like you have to be bringing in deals and, you know, listing properties and showing them to get them closed. And closings take months, and they're very expensive, and there's a lot that goes into it. So much can fall through the cracks, like you said. And like you're working on commission. You're your own boss. And I think that's really important for people to know if they do want to get into real estate, that even if you are at like one of these big companies, you're ultimately still your own boss when you get to that level, and you, especially when you start having a team. So I think that's really cool. What has been the hardest thing you have learned since you kind of made that transition, like whether personal or professional or both? Like, you know, the biggest personal development growth for you having now become a business owner?
Learning how to be a better leader. That's been huge, and it's something that I try to improve on every single day. I have people that depend on me, and people that are by my side, and I've had to learn how to become a better leader, and I've had to learn quickly. I was by myself for so long. I did it by myself for like 2, 3 years, and I did very well, like just by myself. But it got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore without sacrificing my personal space. So, that's when I brought on more people, and we started building a culture. But, just learning how to be a better leader, not only like just helping other people, right? Making others people's lives better, and make building like a culture, like a family. Like that's what, has been the thing where I've had to learn and brush up on, and I'm continuing to learn every single day. It's just how to become a better leader, right? Not make it about me, but make it about we, and not making it about like what I could do for the other person that's working with me. Because I think that's what builds a culture, a family, right? Everybody has different ways of being a boss or being a leader, but I think the best leaders bring out the best in other people and want to see other people succeed. And it's not about like them. It's not about me. It's about we, about us, how we can grow.
A
So
100%. Yeah, that's something I've had to learn and work on as well. And I think too, recognizing that, to be a good leader, like everybody has to and should bring some value to the team, and you have to let them bring their value. Like you can't, just because you can do it too, like you hired them, like, so you can delegate it to them, let them do their job. Like just, and you're going to have to take the time to train them so they can do it as good or as fast as you. But the whole point isn't that you can do it faster or better. It's that it gets done so you can go and do the part that they are not able to do yet. And eventually they work up, and like everyone will level up, but you have to foster that. And that goes to company culture and the work team and the environment that you build. And that's super important.
it's
Something that
just
you said earlier too, like, you can't have all these goals right now and have this instant gratification, because then once you get to that goal, then there's nothing left. Like, okay, so what's next? And that was something that I noticed a lot in law school. Everybody was like, their whole goal was to be a lawyer. And it's like, okay, but law school is only 3 years. So what's next? And they were just going to pick the job that paid the most money so they can pay their student loans back. And not because they actually enjoyed the job. They were just so desperate for a job because they needed a job. And I think because I had the mindset of, yes, I want to be a lawyer, but there's so much more that I want to do. I don't want to be just a lawyer. that's, there's more to me as a human, as a woman. I want to be a mom. I want to be a wife. I want to travel. I enjoy all these other things. Like, I'm not just one thing. And, how can I make being a lawyer a part of me, but not all of me? And having, that mindset shift allowed me to say, or to not stay because, or pick something out of desperation, or because I wanted it right now. It's more so like I'm willing to work for it and build out the life that I want, and not just like, because I know for the fact if I would have been like, I just wanted to be a lawyer, and I'm like, okay, I did that. Then what's like, just gonna sit around and twiddle my thumbs and wait for things to happen for me. Like, I'm a go-getter.
Yeah,
I want to keep trying new things and doing new things always. I want to evolve. I want to learn. I want to
of
change
course.
and try new things. And I think that's something cool too with being a realtor. There's always like, new laws, new regulations, and the market's constantly changing. Like, you're up to date on all of these things, and it's new and exciting and fun, and it can be very, very stressful, but you know, you can't just be in it for the money or the
Nope.
fame, because there's a lot more that goes into it, and
Oh, for
it's
sure.
very
For sure.
stressful.
A lot of sacrifice, a lot of sacrifice. If I didn't like what I was doing, I would be out of it already. And most
Oh,
people that get into it end up leaving, right? It's just like, it's a lot. It's a lot. My girlfriend knows it. I mean, I sacrifice a lot of hours, a lot of days, my weekends. Every single weekend, I have something with work going on. There's not one weekend going on where I don't have something. If I get a full day off, that's a miracle. I haven't had a full day off this year. I tried last week, but I ended up having appointments, and I just love what I do. So it's like, it's not a big deal. If I have to show like a couple properties in a day, like, it is what it is. Thank God that I have my assistant that helps me, with all the back end stuff of preparing those showings and all that. But it's there's a lot. There's a guy that I listen to. His name is Drake Baldwin, and he says there's a shit sandwich that comes with everything. So no matter what you do, there's always going to be a shit sandwich, whether you love it or you hate it. Basketball players, NBA players, football players, you can look at them and be like, man, they're living the dream. Like, look at them. Like, they're making millions. They're playing the sport that they've played their whole life, and they've like dreamed of living that moment. But there's a shit sandwich that comes with it. They got to deal with pain for the rest of their life. They got to deal with headaches. They got to deal with people bothering them whenever they go out. They got to deal with a lot of shit.
yeah.
Excuse my me
No,
saying that
I
word.
love that. I have never heard that before. Send me like whoever this said it, because I want to
Yeah,
check them out. But no, I love that. It's so true. And it's funny. I was telling my one of my best friends, I'm like, dude, I can never catch a break. Like, it's just one thing after the other after the other. But I'm living the life that I want. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I kind of love that I get to, not kind of, I do love. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. Like, I would just go pick an office job where I'm going to make good money. But like, no, I want to build this career for myself, and I want to do it my way, because I've learned from all the people that I've worked with in the past. I'm like, I know that I can do these things, make it a system that works best for me and the way I want to live my life. And I want to build a team that also enjoys living the way that I do. And I want them to be a part of something that they enjoy and be a part of building something that they enjoy, which is why the entrepreneurship route has become the route that I was meant to go on. But yeah, like, doesn't mean that it's not hard and there's shit along the way. Like,
of course.
it's constantly something. Like, it just never ends. But yeah, I think too many people don't realize that. And like, it's funny you say athletes. Like, I was a dancer my entire life. Like, I deal with pain every single day, but you know
Yeah.
what? I still love dance, and you're still gonna catch me dancing around the living room, around the kitchen, because it's something that I love to do. And these athletes, like, they had the ability, the skill to play professionally for the rest of their lives, but it's a sacrifice too, because
Of
there's
course.
days where your body literally is telling, like, you cannot go another day, but they have to, and because they do it because they love it. And you know the people around them make sacrifices as well, privacy especially being one of them. It's not all sunshine and rainbows just because you make a lot of money or you're famous or whatever. Or like, yeah, you got the dream house or the dream car. Guess what? The pool is gonna break. You're gonna get a flat tire. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna have to put work into it. It's not, there's never really just like there are very few things in life that you get to, you're like, that's it. Like, you got it. And like, there's
Yeah.
never gonna be something that comes
Yeah.
along with that. Like, there's always repercussions and
Of
consequences,
course.
but you do it
Of course.
because you
But
love it.
it's just with all those, things, right? Like, I think there's pros and cons to everything, but as long as you have that, future goal, or kind of like that vision of what the future is that you want, like that'll keep you going, right? I mean, there's been so many ups and downs in my career. There's been times where I've thought like, is this what I want to do? Like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to be doing, this for the rest of my life? Like, I've thought that. I think everybody thinks that, right? But
And the good
that
thing is you don't have to do it for the rest of your life. The day that it is no longer fun for you, like that's fine. Like you don't have to keep doing it. And too many people
yeah,
feel that they're golden handcuffs. That they get stuck. And it's like,
for sure.
if you have worked your way up the way that you have a lot of transferable skills. And if you ever decide that this isn't what you want anymore, you will be okay because you're willing to go after what you want. You're willing to find what you want. And what drives you is
Yeah,
that you love what you do, the passion. And that is the most important thing. And that's, I think, a lot of people, we're starting to talk about that a lot more, I think, because there was so much dissatisfaction. And then the pandemic just allowed people to get out a lot quicker than they would have, I think, which was a good thing. But for me, yeah, like I have goals and visions, a vision of my life. And like I work for it every single day, 1% better every single day.
yeah,
And, if I ever decide that I don't want this life anymore, then I will figure it out as I go. And I think that's
exactly,
an important
exactly.
mindset.
But I think too, sometimes people find like, I've heard of some, quite a few people, quitting too soon. Like a lot of people even getting into real estate and they try it for a little bit and then they quit right away. Like anything that's worthwhile, like any single person who's had success, any single person who's an attorney, a doctor, any single person who's had success has gone through a moment in their time, I'm sure, where maybe they didn't really love what they were doing, but they pulled through. And during those times where they figured out how to pull through is where they found how they could find a way to make that fun, or that, make it more of a passion, right? Because in every single job, I think there's a way that you can make it your own, right? Like in my instance, right? Like if I was just doing the deal every single day, showing houses, writing up contracts, negotiating, if I was just doing that all day, I would go freaking crazy, honestly. Like my phone just doesn't stop blowing up. It's like nonstop. But if but me being able to create a business and make it my own and being able to have fun with it, right? Not even looking at anybody as a model, just doing what I think I should be doing and just being myself, having fun making music while I'm doing new real estate, doing videos because I love doing videos, like all those things, those are things that are just fun to do. And like I've been able to incorporate all these different things into my business that have brought that creative part of my brain at the forefront. So every time I have a creative idea, I execute it. And so I'm able to see this like something that's never been done be done. Like there's nobody's made music about an area in like real estate. It's not done. Like that was just a thought in the shower, and making it from a shower thought to a reality is such a great feeling. Like regardless of how many people see it, like who cares? Like obviously you want people to see it and you want to get eyes and people are like whatever, it is what it is. But it could have like 5 views and I wouldn't care. I would still do it because it's just fun. Like and like I
Yeah.
meet somebody in that area and I'm like, yeah, oh, I made a song about Pinecrest. Check it out. And they're like, oh my god, this is awesome. And it's like now I'm that guy who makes music for real estate. Like that to me, like just being able to find a way how to have fun with what you're doing in that moment. Maybe that's the way to look at it instead of some people saying, hey, I don't think this is for me. Maybe I'm going to quit. Like, and then you just start, right? Maybe if you start, you say, you know what, how can I maybe try to make this, how can I make this fun? Let me try to make this fun. And if I can't even make it fun, if it's impossible for me to enjoy this, then I'm out. But maybe I could have some fun with this. Maybe I could try to do
100%.
something, bring that creative part of my brain forward, because all of us are creative at the end of the day. We all have our ideas. It's just that some of us aren't willing to execute on those ideas. They're scared of what other people think. But the moment you let go of those thoughts, the moment you're like, I don't really care. I don't give a rat's ass what anybody thinks about me. Then that's it. Like people commented on my video, like my music video. So much hate. Somebody just told me today if they saw me in Brickwood, they'd slap me in the face. You think I care? I don't care. That person's not going to do that, first of all. Second off, you want to hate, you're probably sending it to your friends and you're just giving me more publicity. Haters make me famous, so I love haters. Keep it up.
Bad press is still press. But
That's
no,
it.
I
That's it.
could not agree more. Like the day that it is no longer fun, that's when you stop. And like my mom, or we were talking offline about just like there's so many things I want to do, and I like well, my worst trait is impatience. My fatal flaw is that I am a very impatient person. And something that I have to actively work on every single day is choosing to trust the process and trust myself and believe that, it will work out the way that it's meant to, because it has time and again, every time that it got to the point where like I could no longer keep going, something kept me going. So like I'm still here and I'm still kicking and it's gonna be okay. My mom was like, you think that Amazon was Amazon overnight? It started off in his garage. Like, Jeff Bezos went to Palmetto Bay, like Palmetto High School, like he's our neighbor, like, hometown Miami boy, and look at everything he's built. You can't just, you're not going to be exactly where you want to be right now. You are 25 years old, like take a seat. And I was like, okay, you were right. As annoying as it is to hear it, it's true. And, yeah, the minute that it's no longer fun, you have to stop. But I love no, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the Brickle music video, I was like, this guy really just loves Brickle. Like, what? But it's funny. It's funny. And
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, you can tell that you genuinely love what you do. And that is gonna bring you more clients and more work and more people. You're gonna gravitate to people are gonna pick up on that. And they want to know, who is this guy? Like, what is he about? I want to learn what he's doing. That is, you need to have that nowadays. And like, to be successful, I think it's magnetism. And if you don't have it, you need to have people around you that do. And I think you genuinely love what you do and it shows and it's so fun. And I think that's super important. Like, I know for a fact that if, I every day, like not every day, every couple of days, I'm like, I haven't gotten a client in a few weeks and I don't know if this is really worth it. I'm not successful. Like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I still love the process of going out there and looking for work and finding clients and meeting people and building connections, because you never know where they're going to lead. So right now, I'm still having fun. I'm still enjoying it, even if it's not where I want to be right now. But we're also really young and there's so much more ahead of us. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's that mindset shift is so, so key in everything that you do. And I don't know, it's just really cool. Like watching you, like you are so animated because you genuinely love what you do. And I'm like, we need more people like that. Like that
Yeah.
is infectious.
Well, it's because I'm excited about the future, right? It's not like I'm thinking about I don't think about today. Today doesn't get me excited. I mean, sometimes, yeah, today does get me excited. But, like what gets me excited is more so like the future, like my future vision, like you're not gonna be able to finish that shit sandwich that you're dealing with right now if you're focused on that shit sandwich.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about, all right, once I'm done with this shit sandwich, I know that me finishing this is going to get me to where I want to go, which is that ultimate goal. Like my vision right now is not 2 years from now, 3 years from now, not even five. It's thinking like 10 years ahead, right?
Mine
Just like the
too.
property that I just bought, like all those things are like me thinking way ahead. And obviously, I don't want that to come so fast because that means life is just going by quicker. But it's just me having that mentality of preparing today for tomorrow, getting one step closer to that vision that maybe in 10 years, maybe I'm even way past what my vision is. But that's just my vision, right? And that's what I'm going towards. That's why I'm doing what
Yeah.
I'm doing every single day. I'm not doing it because I just want to close this next deal. I'm doing it because I have a bigger vision in mind and
Yeah.
what I want to do with that money. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna get this money and whoa. It's like my vision with that money. Like it's just like everything has a vision and everything has a strategy behind it, which is I think what some people like just focus so like now, like in the moment, but you just think about the future and what the future would be if you keep doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I'm
that's just
100%
kind
the same way. That having a vision truly is what got me through law school. It's what got me through studying for the bar exam, knowing like it's only a few more days, a few more weeks until, I'm living the life that I want. I've been working so
yeah.
hard for this. And, when you hit each benchmark, it's like, wow, like, I mean, not gonna say it was easy, but like, okay, I did that. Like, there's, I have energy now for the next thing. And like, then once, yeah, our visions right now for 10 years, but in 10 years, yeah, like you said, we could be so much farther than that vision, or even if we're not, but the vision has now progressed even further, another additional 10
Hmm.
years, because you're working towards something, you're not living for the now. And you have to be careful to not future trip and like sometimes like me be a little impatient and get, you know, desperate. I don't know if in Spanish it's desperate. In English, I don't know if it's the right word. I know you know what I'm trying to say. Desesperado, like that you're like,
You want to just like, you're impatient, kind of like,
Yeah,
yeah, you
like
want
it's an impatience thing. Like you can't, like, it's like you're not gonna get it right now, but it'll be so much more worth it when you do finally get it, and you can see all that it took to get there, and that there's still so much more you want to do because yeah, you worked really hard, but like you enjoyed the work in the process.
to,
And if
yeah,
all of a sudden you stop enjoying it, then that's when it's like, okay, time for the vision to change, and that's okay too. But you can
yeah.
never get to like, I need it right now because
Hmm.
you're not enjoying it. And at the end of the day, like we're here, life goes way too fast. Like we're here, we got to enjoy
Yeah,
while we're here. And
yeah, I think you got to have the balance too, though, because it's crazy because I'm an impatient person too. I'm patient but impatient, and I think part of becoming or reaching those goals is having that little bit of impatience. It's like
yeah,
that perfect balance. Because if you're not impatient, then things are
you're
just like,
gonna settle. You're gonna settle. You're gonna get
it's chill.
complacent. Yeah.
But if exactly, but then if you have, it's literally just having that balance and maybe even being impatient, but then reminding yourself at times, be like, hey, hold up, stop getting your thoughts, relax, take a chill pill, like, and maybe taking a step back for a day and then boom, right back at it again. But you know, the impatience has like gotten me kind of where I am today. So I've
100%.
done it, but at the same time, it's like it's just having that balance and understanding that there's a long term goal behind this. And when I am impatient, I'm impatient towards my long term goal. And I'm like, if I don't get to that by that day, if I don't get to that, like then whatever. But obviously, life changes, right? There's always going to be things that you pivot, you change, right? Like I always wanted a house, like a 3 or 4 bedroom house at 25 years old. And then when I got to this age, I'm like, I don't need a 3 or 4 bedroom house. I just need a 1 bedroom condo, and I'm chilling with that. And I'd rather just buy more properties as investment properties and invest heavily in my business so that I can just, when I'm going to make the jump, I'm going to make the jump to something that's
Yeah.
worth my while, like not like, just a little house now to, because I can
Yeah.
afford it away.
Today.
So, it's just, having that long-term vision in mind.
Yeah.
I think it's just so easy to lose that vision sometimes though, and the day to day. So sometimes you got to remind yourself about it.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think because I'm a very impatient person, but for the future, sometimes it's important to take a step back and, check yourself and like gut check. Like, is it still what you want? Like, what are you working towards? Like, you're working really hard and you want all of this right now and you're busting your ass, but like, who are you doing it for? Is it really worth it? Take a step back and you're like, okay, it is, like, I'm still like doing this for me or for the right reasons. Like, okay, now I can
Yep.
keep going forward. And if at any point it's not fun or like you realize like it's not for you, this isn't like healthy, or you're just not having fun, you're not enjoying it, it's not for you anymore, like it's time to take a step back. But yeah, I think it's hard because social media has made it really difficult, but I think it's important to have these conversations, which is why I like having them, and that they're starting to be had a whole lot more just to help people, because there's so many people like us, like we're young and hungry, but you know
Yeah, of course.
sometimes you got to take a step back and
Yes.
recognize when you're it's not about being full after a meal, it's about being satisfied. Like, are you still doing this for you? Are you happy where you are at? And if you're not happy, is it like a superficial happiness, like you had a bad day, or is it like you're not doing this because you want to be doing this? And then you kind of have to like, all right, figure out where we go next.
Yeah. Social media is a double-edged sword. It can be advantageous, but at the end of the day, it could hurt people too. You find yourself in that hole. Sometimes people, comparing themselves or thinking like, oh my God, why am I not doing that? Oh, how is he that age or my age and doing that? And I'm not doing that. But, everybody's got a different life. Everybody's got a different mentality. Everybody's got a different everything,
And you
different
never
circumstances.
know what's going on behind the scenes, like the circumstances. Like, you and I are the first ones to admit, like, we lived at home. I mean, I still do live at home longer than most people would be willing to. But, that's the sacrifice and the choices we made to get us to where we are today. If you're not willing to do that, then you can't, not that in particular, but something. If you're not going to walk a mile in their shoes exactly the way that it is, then you can't really complain that, they have something that you don't, because you don't know what's going on. And like, I think people like don't recognize that there's so much going on behind the scenes, and there's so many other circumstances involved. And one person isn't better or worse because they had more or less than you. They're just figuring it out for themselves too. And it's okay that you're not where you want to be, as long as you're working towards it. I think
We're
at
all
the end
just
of the
figuring
day,
it out. That's all we're doing. We're all trying to figure it out.
literally.
We're just doing life. That's it. I've always been like, lately, I don't look at people with envy. I don't look at that at all. I'm not envious of anybody. I don't wish bad on anybody either. I see people successful and I'm really happy for them.
Yeah.
I have my tight circle of people. I'm super happy for every single person that's very successful. And I would never, ever, ever like, judge someone, be like, oh, he's not, oh, how is he doing that? Or, like that to me, those are things that are just like silly. I think we should all just be happy for each other and, grateful for all the circumstances that we have and just make use of your moment now, right?
Yeah.
Just take
And
it.
I wouldn't be, and I know you can say this, like, we wouldn't be who we are today had we not had the circumstances and the upbringing and the struggles that we've had. Like, it makes it so much more worth it and rewarding at the end of the day. And that's what I want to show more of. Like, yes, I want to show like the amazing trips and all like the nice restaurants that I'm going to because I love food and I love to travel. So I want to show those things, but I also want to show like the days that, I'm crying and I haven't changed my sweatshirt in 3 days and I'm upset or something isn't working out because having those days, it makes it so much more worth it when you do get to celebrate those big things. And I think you just have like this, like, I mean, your page has become a lot more of a real estate and a more business page, but even then you can still see the boyish joy for life because that's who you are. Like, you have to make sure that at the end of the day, everything that you're doing, you're still true to who you are and you're
Yeah.
not hiding who you are just to get somewhere or to look like somebody else, because then you're not doing it for you. And that's ultimately
Hmm.
what it's all about.
Yeah. No, no, it's true. And I'm still trying to figure that out too. I mean, I've realized that, like, man, I'm posting way too much about real estate. Like, I want to post like more personal stuff. I think that's more fun. So we're making a change. Always
Totally good.
improving, always changing up the
Yeah.
you know
And that's
the,
important to
the what we're
recognize.
doing
Like,
for sure.
you can always pivot, you can always change, you could always switch it up. Like, it's never too late. Like, we
For
talked about,
sure.
like, you were gonna go to UCF and the last minute you were like, you know what? I'm gonna stay at home and do something else. And it
Yep.
ended up being the best decision for you. I was gonna go to law school. I don't even know, like Tennessee. I ended up going there because it ended up being like the most affordable option. It was the best decision I ever made, but it wasn't like that wasn't the plan. I didn't know what the plan was. I didn't really have a plan. I just, I'm gonna go wherever the
Figured it out as you went.
opportunity, yeah, wherever the opportunity comes. And like at the time, I think I've talked about this. Like, I didn't have this that great of scores because I had been going through a serious health situation and toxic breakup, and like I just wasn't in the best place. So I took the LSAT, I got this score, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna apply with this. If I don't get into decent schools and get a scholarship to them, I will apply again next year. It's not the end of the world. I know that I want to be a lawyer. It does not have to be right now because it's just not meant to be. And I got really lucky that I got in where I did, when I did, everything that, I have now. But, sometimes like life happens and there's a reason why we just don't know it yet. So you just got to, be patient and wait to see. But at the end of the day, also like, got to work for what you want. And if you know you want something and you can do something about it, go after it. And,
Yep.
it's a good balance of both. And, you know, if you know that, you want to share more personal life because you miss that being in touch and like Instagram being for fun and sharing what you're doing on the weekends, then start posting that more. And if people don't like that, then let them unfollow you because that's not the people you want around you anyway. And I think it's so easy to say it about social media, but we also need to be doing that in our personal lives, like off the internet
Yep.
too. And it's just like, it's hard being, I think, in our mid 20s and figuring it all out. I mean, we're always figuring it out, but especially now because there's that extra added noise. But at the end of the day, like,
Yeah. 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 Look, I mean, we're all, like you said, we're all just figuring it out. We're all just figuring it out. Everything that I've done has been me just figuring it out along the way. Literally, no, I was never much of a planner. Was never organized. I was never systemized. It was all in my head when I worked by myself. It was really all just like I have severe ADHD, and it's like everywhere, like here, there. But once I got my assistant, that kind of changed. I kind of had to systemize and be a little more organized. So I just did that as it came. I hired somebody. I didn't think of, oh, I gotta do this before I get this person because I have to do this. I'm like, let me just get someone. I'm gonna figure it out along the way. Hired them. She came in, and we're like, hey, look, we got a lot to do. and we got down to business, and that was it. So just figure things out along the way. Sometimes you can't overthink things. You just got to jump into it, do it, and figure it out as you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. And trial and error, you learn as you go. And, you know, we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for all the mistakes and fumbles along the way. But that's what makes it
exactly,
fun too. Like
exactly,
that's what makes it fun. And
exactly.
when you reconnect with people like we're doing right now, and like or even when you meet new people and you can like kind of like commiserate on that, and it's like you share it, and it's like, okay, I'm not alone. Like, they had mistakes too, and like they're
That,
still doing good, like, or they see
that's
it about you.
it.
It's like, okay, like, it happens, it is what it is, and we learn from it and we move on. And life's too short, and you know it's all gonna work out exactly the way that it's meant to, because we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end. We need to actually like hang out, because we were talking about this before. We haven't actually seen each other, I think, in like eight
For
years,
sure.
which is wild. But um, what's the biggest piece of advice, like overall, like it could be personal, professional, like relationship, whatever. Like, what's your like biggest piece of advice, like something that you live by?
Something that like is like a motto that I tell myself all the time is there's always something to do even when there's nothing to do. I'm just crazy like that. Um, I'm a workaholic, so I may be a very unique situation, but
No, but I
whenever there's
think rest is something to do. Even, and productive rest, actually
yeah,
sitting back and doing absolutely nothing is doing something, because you are being productively resting, so you can regain energy to do something else. So even then, like doing
yeah,
nothing sometimes is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So I think
exactly,
that's a
exactly,
great one.
exactly, exactly. Especially like in my business, though, in real estate, it's like most agents, they start out and they just sit at their desk and they're like, all right, what do I do now? But if you like, I would always think, all right, there's nothing to do right now, but there is something to do. So what could I be doing right now? That's something like towards my goal. And that was always just in the back of my mind. That's always how it worked, because as an entrepreneur, you just sometimes in that moment where you just have to sit and wait and be like, now what? So even in that moment, you got to figure out stuff that you have to do. So that's
Yeah,
just kind of
and it
like,
could be as
yeah,
simple as reaching out to talk to somebody, get coffee,
yep,
go network, post on social media, hey, I have availability to take on a new client.
yep,
That's something. Even if you
yep.
don't have work right now, posting that you're open to work, I promise you work will come. So
I
yeah, I
agree.
love that. I think that's a great place to end. Where can everyone find you? They want to work with you, pimp yourself out.
For sure. Yeah. So Instagram, you can follow me at Jonathan M. Vega. Find me on YouTube. Weekly property tours of mansions, and touring every single building in Miami. And then you can check out our website, look for a house there, look for a rental, look for anything, thevegaway.com. So that's it. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was nice
Thank
to
you
connect
so
after so long.
I know. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'll link everything in the show notes, and we will talk to you next week.